to the 90-Day Book Challenge. And I am so excited to get started today. And yeah, I can't believe it's February 6th already, and we're well into 2014. And this program kind of came on me really fast here, as I'm sure it did for a lot of us. Time certainly flies, but it is so great to have each and every one of you here. And I am really excited about this program. I know it's going to be an awesome journey for each of us, in our attempts to get our first book or ebook out there into the world. So 2014, if it is your year to get your book out there, it can definitely be a game changer. This can be a very kind of life-defining year when you put, this kind of focus into such a meaningful project that can have so many benefits for your business, your career, your practice, your life, your lifestyle. So I am a huge fan of books and ebooks, and I am an avid writer. I love writing, and I'm really excited and passionate about sharing everything that I've learned about the book writing process with you guys. So I've never done this particular program before. Many of you have worked with me in previous programs that I've offered, so it's great to see many familiar names and faces in this group. And if you're new to me, welcome as well. I'm definitely really excited to get to know each of you on an individual level, and we have a really awesome format to work with here within our Facebook group where we can connect and get to know each other and offer some support. So today we're going to go through our first webinar, and I would expect today to be close to 2 hours. If you schedule 90 minutes and you need to get off, that's absolutely fine. Know that this is being recorded, and all these recordings will be set up within our Facebook group within 48 hours. Honestly, usually it'll be quite a bit sooner than that. I try to get them up on the same day if at all possible, because I know some of you guys are relying on the recordings and are eager to dive in. So these webinars are going to be very content rich because we only have 6 of them spread out over a 3-month period. So I am going to essentially cram as much as I can into these webinars to give you, I think, all of the resources, the tips, the steps that you need to take to get your first book out there. So definitely remember that this is being recorded. You can watch it multiple times. I do encourage you to do that because learning and mastery happen through repetition. And, you'll definitely be able to integrate some of these points I'll be making on deeper levels as you kind of get, kind of repeat the information and get yourself exposed to it multiple times. So, yeah, it's going to be content rich. Today will as well. Today we're going to focus a lot on mindset, kind of getting in the right mindset to write your book. And I have some helpful tips to share with you about that from my own experience and just kind of more general coaching tips in terms of relating kind of emotionally and mentally in a healthy way to the writing process, which is a huge topic because a lot of us would have already written our first book were it not for some of those inner demons or stumbling blocks that kind of halt our progress and make us feel like we maybe can't do this or it's too overwhelming. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time on that today. Certainly within our Facebook group, we can offer some support to one another as well in that regard. So we're going to spend some time with mindset today, and then we're going to talk quite a bit today as well about choosing your topic, and I'm also going to talk about how to create content in the most efficient way possible. So we do have a lot to cover today, and I'm going to go ahead and jump in. And the first thing that I wanted to do is just kind of share some logistics about our Facebook group and make sure everybody understands how to use it. I love the format of a Facebook group because it is so easy to use. It's really easy to connect with others in the group. It's really easy for me to post webinars, to add files, to share resources. So I've experimented with a lot of different ways of offering group coaching programs, and I definitely like this model the best. So I think it'll be a really good fit for you. I do encourage you to just get in a habit starting today for the next 3 months and maybe even beyond that of just logging in once a day minimally to our Facebook group. Just you should see on the left sidebar of your page this little link here that says 90-Day Book Challenge under groups. So just click that once a day and just see what's going on, interact with other group members. Definitely within our group, the more you participate, the more you show up and offer support and ask questions and just make this a really interactive experience, the more value you're going to get for it. I always get a little bit concerned when I offer group programs and I see people that aren't showing up, or they're just kind of in the background and not letting their presence be known. Just because I think you do get a lot more out of this kind of experience if you're there, kind of in the trenches with us, posting and sharing and looking for feedback and offering feedback. So make this a high priority in your life. Obviously, writing a book in 90 days is, you need to make it a high priority for it to be a realistic process. We want to make sure that the group is something that you just get in the habit of connecting with on a daily basis, okay? So the way that it's going to work within our Facebook group is anytime I post a webinar recording, it's going to be under this tab here, under Files, and there will just be a link that says Webinar Recordings, and I'm going to post all of them right there. They're going to be on YouTube, and they're going to be unlisted videos on YouTube, so only people within our group can see the videos. Please do not share these videos with anybody outside of our group. I would really appreciate that, as would all other group members. So that's where you can find all of our recordings, and also this area under Files. I would just recommend clicking it once a day just to see what I'm posting. Sometimes I'll be posting quite a few resources on any given day. Sometimes not. It just depends on where we're at in the program. My goal is to streamline this process, so it is definitely more step-by-step and linear, and in that way it won't overwhelm you, and I don't want to just give you like a million resources all at once and you're just, like deer in the headlights, like what do I do with all this stuff? So I'm very sensitive to that. I know that writing a book is a potentially overwhelming project for a lot of us, so it's my job to make this as easy on you as possible. So this area will fill out over time, and I'm going to give this to you in kind of bite-sized chunks so you don't get overwhelmed, and everything that I'm offering you is actionable. You can definitely implement it, and it doesn't feel like it's just too daunting for you, okay? So check in on that tab on a regular basis, and then for the current webinar for the week, I'll always post it here just at the top of the page, and then I will pin that post as a webinar recording, so you always have access to the most current webinar that we've done as a pinned post right at the top of the page there. So you should just be able to click the link for the YouTube video to go right to that webinar recording. Should be pretty easy. If you have any questions about accessing the recordings or technical issues, or you can't download something, what I would encourage you to do is probably the fastest way to get help is actually tag our admin person, Samantha. She's my assistant, and she can help you out, okay? So to do that, all you would do is, well, you can, if you're friends with her, you can definitely just shoot her a private message just by clicking this little icon here. Or if it's just something that you don't really care if anybody else sees, definitely just do it within the group, and that's fine. So you would just type out her name, and it should pull up like that. So I can tag her just by clicking on her name there. And then I'll oftentimes delete the last name, so it's just her first name, and then whatever your issue is, and then click post. And she should help you out pretty quickly, just depending on when you post it. She's there like 9 to 5, just normal business days. So if it's at midnight or something, just wait a little bit, and she'll help you out as soon as she can. Okay. So yeah, and she's going to be there through the whole process to support you with any technical issues. If you have anything like that, like admin issues, technical issues, definitely reach out to her as opposed to me if at all possible. If you have marketing questions, if you have content creation questions, questions directly related to the webinar at hand, that's where I want you asking me. And you can definitely tag me within the group as well if you have questions. And so the way that's going to work is, I'm here on Facebook. I kind of live on this website now just based on the work that I do. So I'm here a lot during the day. So I'm always checking questions, and I'll do my best to reply as quickly as I possibly can. Just know I get a lot of email and a lot of questions coming in every day, but I'll definitely make it a high priority to connect with you and make sure that within a 24-hour period minimally that I'm getting back with you and making sure you're getting the help that you need. Okay. You are welcome to friend me on Facebook as well, and occasionally if you have a question that feels a little bit more like private in nature, or you just don't really want like the entire group seeing your question, feel free to send me a private message. I'm totally cool with that in moderation. It's not formally included in this program, but I'm here to just offer you unconditional support. I want to make sure that you do this, that you get your first book out there in the next 90 days. So I'm going to make myself available as a resource to you in whatever way is most helpful to you. And, you know, most of my coaching clients have been totally cool with that. You know, I think everybody understands that, you know, I'm busy and, of course, you're busy too. So within reason, you know, you can feel free to private message me if it's something that you don't want the group to see. A lot of the questions that you have, probably other group members would have as well. So if you feel comfortable posting in a public forum in our group, definitely post it there so others can benefit from my responses and my, you know, the interaction there. That's a big benefit of doing this particular kind of program within a group setting, is that we're all here to support one another. So it's not just me kind of unilaterally offering coaching to everybody. Everybody in this group has a valuable contribution to make. You have your own unique experience and skills. So when you see a question that's posted there, even if it's directed to me and you know the answer or you have something valuable to contribute, by all means. I mean, I want this to just be a very open group, and you know, make sure that you're all getting the support that you need. So let's all help each other out. We have, from what I can tell of the quality of people in this group, it's a fantastic group of people, and really, really bright, committed, successful people are in this group. I love doing these group programs largely for the community aspect, that we're bringing together a community of like-minded people who are really all on the same page in terms of what they're looking to do in their life, what their purpose is, how they're looking to get out there and help, and what level of success they're looking to create. So take it upon yourself to get to know these people, connect with them, reach out to them, and I think you're going to derive a tremendous amount of benefit from that. Okay, so make sure that you're making those connections. Don't be shy. You know, definitely get out there and connect with others. These people are all going to be mostly, you know, from what I can tell at least, extremely friendly, very approachable, and we have just an awesome community that's going to form from this program. So there is a synergistic kind of effect when we all kind of get on the same page. Our energy is kind of aligned towards the same goal. There's just something powerful that's created in that kind of environment that we can all benefit from. So definitely take advantage of that. And then the next thing that I want to suggest to everybody doing this program is to break off into small mastermind groups. Definitely when you're looking to write a book and you're an aspiring author, having a small mastermind group is one of the most supportive things that you can do. So in case you have never heard of a mastermind group, it's essentially just a small group of you know, maybe 3 to 5, 6 most people that are looking to do the same thing, that have the same goals, and they just basically offer each other support. So we usually structure it somewhat as like a round table where each person gets to speak for 10 or 15 minutes and really talk about kind of where they're at, what challenges they're facing, what obstacles are in their way, any breakthroughs that they've had, and they're just looking to other group members to get support. So that's one huge aspect of it, is just the kind of psychological support that having a mastermind group offers. The other level of it, though, that I'm going to get into a lot today is content creation. You can definitely rely on other group members to help you create content in a very efficient, very easy way. So I'm going to talk about that today. So what I'll do today is just start a thread going within our group for anybody who'd like to join a mastermind. So what I'd encourage you to do is just take it upon yourself that, you know, if you get 3 or 4 people that are saying, yes, I'm interested, reach out to those people, and one of you will just need to take the initiative to coordinate it, to set it up. And I'll post a couple of resources for you guys in terms of using like a free conference line, so you can dial into a 1-800 number and make sure that, you know, you're all getting access to that line, and that way you just call in. You get 3 to 5 of you on the line. It's free, and you can run your mastermind on that group or on that line. Okay, it's super easy to use. So definitely take advantage of that. And so I think that's pretty much it for our Facebook group. It's really easy to use. It's pretty intuitive. Feel free to post as much or as little as you want within our group. Even if you just want to get in there and post an inspiring comment or a little infographic, I'm totally cool with that. Like, use this group in whatever way is most supportive for you. With that said, my only request is that we keep the environment and the tone as solution-oriented and positive as we can. So, you know, anytime I see people that are kind of habitually complaining or using the group to kind of share more about what's not working, or you know what I mean, just like they're kind of a Debbie Downer for the group, I will often actually just delete those comments, because we really want to create a sacred space together in this group and make sure everybody's on the same page in that way. So we're all committed to what we really want. And with that said, I know challenges come up. I know writing a book can be, you know, a challenge for a lot of us. So that doesn't mean you can't post like genuine challenges that you're facing. We just want to do it in a tone of being solution oriented, like looking for support to bust through that obstacle rather than complain about it, right? So cool. Let me know if you have any questions, or otherwise you can tag or email Samantha and she will help you out, all right? So what I'm going to do for the most part today is just run through a PowerPoint presentation that I prepared for you guys. And this will be posted in the file section as well. So I'll be posting the PowerPoint presentations as both a Keynote file for Mac users and a PowerPoint file for PC users. So you'll have access to both. So that'll serve as a nice outline for all of the content I'm going to be sharing. If you would prefer to take notes, by all means, you know, if that's helpful for you, have pen and paper or keyboard handy, whatever works for you. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump in. I'm just super excited to get going with this. I love writing books. I love talking about writing books. It's a huge passion of mine. It's been an amazing asset to my business on so many levels, both my private practice and my coaching business, and affiliate marketing, and pretty much internet marketing in general. Writing has always been one of my primary sources of success. I mean, without question, the writing that I've done has been a huge input into the success that I've been able to create online. So, you know, the more you write, the more successful you're going to be, especially if you really practice writing as almost like a spiritual craft. So it's something that you get better at, you refine, your voice gets stronger with continued practice. And yeah, the benefits of having a book and committing to writing as a practice are just so numerous for your business, your lifestyle, whatever you're looking to enhance in your life. I think having a book and just writing in general is a great medium to use to get you there, okay? So let me just, I kind of covered this already, but let me just reinforce some of the main points. Ground rules for our group. Let's make a positive and consistent contribution as best we can. I'm sure everybody's already on the same page with that. Set clear goals in this program and commit to following through on them. So I'll talk more about this in our homework at the end. At the end of every webinar, I'll offer some practical homework steps for you. The main goal, of course, is that we all have a goal of 90 days. We want to have some kind of finished product in our hands or on the internet that we can sell. Ideally, we want to get our first sale within 90 days. That's really my goal for you. That's absolutely possible, but we'll talk more about that as we proceed onwards here. Cultivate an attitude of relaxed intensity as you go through this process. So this is kind of one of my main kind of coaching statements that I like to make when you're starting a new program with me, is relating to it with a mindset of relaxed intensity. What that means is, on one side of the spectrum, there's an urgency and there's a sense of seizing the moment, that we have 90 days, which is a short period of time. I mean, really, to write a book or an ebook and to get your information out there to the world. You know, of course, for many people, it takes them 3 years, not 3 months. So there is a quality of intensity that we all want to bring to the table here, of recognizing the kind of preciousness of this work we're doing together and committing to it, and just, you know, really challenging that tendency to hit the pause button, to procrastinate, to be lazy, to deny ourselves the privilege of getting our work out there into the world. So there is an intensity there. On the other side of the spectrum, we have relaxation, which to me is about kind of holding this space of patience, of non-attachment, of being gentle and non-judgmental with yourself as you're going through this process, and relating to the obstacles, the challenges that come up with a chosen conscious attitude of space, equanimity, composure, and not allowing this kind of, any tendency towards like habitual overwhelm or stress or paralyzation to get the best of you. And I know that's an issue. So let me know how that's going for some of you in the program, if that's, been a previous stumbling block. But for me, this is like the sweet spot in terms of finding that really productive place inside of myself where I can just keep going and I never get like blocked, or very rarely. I don't allow stagnation to settle in. It's having intensity and it's having relaxation. And with the relaxation component, a lot of what this also means is not getting attached to results. So you have a goal, there's a clarity around that goal, you want to get your book out there, and at the same time, we all know that life happens, and there's always an inherent level of uncertainty in just being alive and being human. So we can never get attached to the outcomes. And there's just something that we want to own about that and acknowledge as we're starting a rather ambitious project like this, that this moment is all we have. So we can set all the goals we want. We can project into the future all we want. Now is pretty much it. So we're always kind of relaxing into this moment as much as we're projecting out into the future and kind of keeping our focus out there. If we project out to the future too much, what tends to happen is we get easily stressed, easily frustrated, and we lose the kind of joy, the creative joy of the process. So always train yourself to come back to now, realize that this is a practice and this moment is all you have. Be solution-oriented and resourceful. I already kind of hit on that. But to be a successful writer and author, entrepreneur, business person, this is just mandatory. I mean, yeah, we have to train our minds to focus on solutions, not problems. They kind of identifying with the obstacle and beating our head against the wall with it, or we are choosing to embrace a solution-oriented stance with it. We're always looking for, a new resource, a new perspective, a new creative way of looking at our problems, and realizing that any stumbling block that comes up is workable. It's always workable as long as we are workable, as long as we're aligned with our purpose and we're, staying engaged with who we really are and our inner power. There's no point at which you would ever need to give up or to say, yes, this problem is bigger than me. This obstacle is just too big for me to overcome. This is what, honestly, stops a lot of aspiring authors in their tracks, and what causes them to never actually get their work out into the world is that they become overly identified with the challenges they face, and they forget that they have the innate solutions to those challenges. So that's what this program can really help with too, is when you are challenged and you're feeling like a little bit of that, like kind of beating your head against the wall with it, post in our group, look for support, use other people's perspectives to break you out of that and to keep the energy moving forward, okay? And then, one of my main simple rules is just write every day. If you want to write books and ebooks and be an author, write a little bit every day. So like for me personally, it's extremely rare where a day goes by where I'm not creating content, whether it's for a new product, a blog post, social media posts, doing audios, doing videos. For a lot of the work that we're doing, we have many health practitioners and coaches in this group. The more content you create, the more you write, the more money you're going to make, the more successful you're going to be, the more expert status you're going to have. So even if it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just write every day and make that like an ongoing practice for yourself. For me, that's been one of the most powerful steps that I've trained my mind to adapt to, is every day there's some sort of content being created. And if you follow me on the internet, you're going to notice that. There's always like a new blog post, a lot of new social media content, new stuff that I'm creating for or within my programs, sales pages, whatever it is. So if you want to write and be an author, then do it every day. Make it a small habit, just like brushing your teeth, and just starting today. Like, let's all agree to that and just get on the same page there. because that really is one of the most simple yet powerful steps that you can take. Every day, just a little bit. It's amazing how much content you can create in 3 months if you just write for 20 minutes a day. It's really kind of astounding depending on how fast you can type. But you can easily get a 100-page document out there in 3 months if you spend 90 days straight writing for 20 minutes a day. Easily. I mean, it's pretty shocking. So that's our goal, is we're not looking at like creating this entire manuscript all in one setting. We want bite-sized chunks here, and we just want to get in the habit of training ourselves to write a little bit every day, create some form of content. We don't worry about whether it's good or not, whether people are going to like it or not. We just write. We just make that a practice, okay? Pretty simple, right? So these are our basic ground rules for our group. Another thing I wanted to mention is that the webinars, because they are so content rich, they're not going to be interactive. Like, I'm not going to field questions on the webinars themselves because they're already going to run pretty long. So we'll save the interactivity for our Facebook group, and that's where you can post questions, all right? All right, cool. So let's keep going here. So I just want to give you a quick overview of the content we'll be covering in our webinars and during our 3 months together. So starting today, it's mindset training, choosing your topic, content creation, and goals for your book. And then we're going to get into editing and finalizing your draft, creating ideal titles and subtitles, formatting, cover design, digital and self-publishing options, and then marketing and promotion. So I'm going to go pretty deeply into all of these subjects, and that is why I need to talk a little bit fast because there is a lot to cover in all of these topics. These are all courses unto themselves, so I'm going to give you as much as I really know within a 90-minute, 2-hour period on these webinars to make sure that you have pretty much everything you need to get your book out there to the world, okay? The marketing piece is definitely one of the main ones that I want you to pay close attention to, because that is the aspect of this program that is highly unique. Most book creation programs don't really include marketing, usually because the author of the book or the author of that program isn't really a marketer themselves. Like, I'm a pretty good marketer, and I know how to use the internet pretty darn successfully to generate sales and to build buzz and things like that. So I'm really excited about that aspect of this program because it really is very comprehensive what we're going to cover here. And I think it actually does the author somewhat of a disservice if we just talk about getting your content created and getting your ebook or book out there and we don't talk about marketing. Because marketing is what causes sales. And if you put all this time and energy into writing your book, well, you should definitely do yourself the service of learning how to market it and get the buzz around it, get visibility for it. So I'm going to try to make this as comprehensive as I possibly can. All right, so let's talk a little bit about mindset. This is a big subject. I could easily spend the entire focus of today just on this because there is so much to say about this. And I know that, everybody in this program is in a little different space. Some of you have tried to write your first book but felt like it just didn't work out. Others of you I know have a product out there already and you're looking to market it and make it more successful. And others of you, this is just brand new territory. You've never really done anything like this and you're just getting your feet wet in authorship for the first time. So kind of regardless of where you're at in this process, this program should meet your needs, and these mindset principles should kind of speak to you where you're at right now, okay? So the first tip that I want to give you is I want you to start perceiving writing as an awareness practice. It really is one of the most powerful awareness practices that we have at our disposal as human beings. And if you don't know what I mean by that, sit down for 20 minutes and start writing and just notice what your mind does in relation to the writing process. For most of us, there's an inherent resistance to writing that we notice once we immerse ourselves in it. So there's this inner critic, this judge that kind of comes in and honestly tries to kind of sabotage the writing process, where we tend to view our writing through a very kind of critical, almost harsh lens. Like for a lot of us, what writing does is it helps us to see how hard we actually are on ourselves on a regular basis, because writing is just a microcosm for how we live our life. So this is a great exercise. If you just write for 20 minutes about any given topic that you want, and you just go into it with the intention of it being an awareness practice, just to watch your mind, not be attached to what your mind is doing, but just pay close attention to your thoughts, to your feelings as they creep up, and really just take note of what's there. Like for me, this used to be a huge issue, and it's why I spent so long getting my first book, my first ebook out there, and why it took over 3 years to get my published book, The Purpose Principle, out there, because I really had a lot of inner work to do to get to this place where I could write efficiently. It's pretty cool, though, because once you do that work on yourself and you clear out some of those inner blocks and the inner critic, you can tap into this state of creative flow in your writing pretty much on the spot, and that's where you can crank out, really high quality writing in a tenth of the time that it used to take you. So the thing that causes most of us to struggle and delay and feel like, this is just a really arduous process is that inner critic. It's the ego that kicks in and kind of sabotages the process. So over the next 90 days, we're all basically committing to one of the most powerful awareness practices that we have at our disposal as human beings. And just looking at it through that lens is very helpful, because you know kind of what to expect now. It's almost like you can invite that critic to show up, so you can look at it, you can almost have a conversation with it if you want, and ask it to leave if it's not helpful or suitable to you. So what we don't want is to allow that inner critic to kind of unconsciously sabotage our efforts, where we're just not aware that we're even doing that. And that's what actually just kills the momentum of so many writers, is that this inner critic, this voice of kind of harshness and always looking at things through the lens of good or bad. Oh, this is good work or this is bad work. That voice is incredibly stagnant. It really causes us to put excessive willpower into the writing process, and it takes way too long then. So the faster we can become aware of that inner critic, see that it's an illusion, it's not who we really are at all. It's just a conditioned element of our minds that we can actually choose to liberate, to release. The more we can do that, the faster we're going to write, and I actually believe the quality of our writing will increase exponentially from there. To the extent that we're attached to that inner critic, our writing actually starts to feel more disjointed. We start to look at every sentence through a very self-conscious lens, and it's really hard to write from the heart from that place. It takes a long time, and it's kind of painful, honestly. So this is why I love writing, because for me, I've liberated a good portion of my inner critic, my ego, in relation to writing. And I know, I can read blog posts of mine or even books that I've written, and I'm like, I can find faults in them for sure, grammatical faults or, certain ideas I could have elaborated on. It's never going to be perfect. I can find those faults, but I'm okay with it, because I know that I'm speaking from my heart, and I'm writing from what I would call like a high frequency place, meaning that my energy is expansive when I'm writing. It's not contracted. And that's what we're looking for you to do, is get into this place that I call like high frequency writing, where you're in a state of creative flow, and that inner critic is really either on the back burner or completely extinguished. It's just not there. And that's a really nice place to be in, a very positive space to be in. The best writing does tend to come out when we drop the labels of good or bad. So if you can go into writing with the intention of just writing and not even giving one damn bit of care about whether it's good writing or bad writing, the writing will actually be good a lot of the time from that place. Our writing tends to suffer when we are attached to this label of if it's good or not. It's kind of an irony. But this is just one kind of little secret that I discovered through writing so much in my own life, is pretty much every time that I go into writing without caring if it's good or bad, the quality is pretty darn good. It's really kind of interesting. So this is our homework for this week, is to start to do this kind of writing where we give ourselves permission to just drop the label, the judgment that we normally might have around our work, the analysis paralysis, and we just tap into this kind of heartfelt place about what we want to say. We find our voice. We don't really care if it's good or bad, and we just start expressing, emoting, and kind of emanating a powerful message through our words in that way, okay? In this program, we are definitely going for productivity over perfectionism. One of the main stumbling blocks for aspiring authors is being attached to perfectionism. So that's where the relaxation piece is missing, right? Like there's the spaciousness, the kind of just feeling okay with the imperfection of the work, knowing that, you know, you've put your heart into it and it's not going to be perfect. That's what we're looking for in this program, okay? And it's getting you to a place that you can write, create content, really kind of crank out products quickly. So for this model of business, you know, using books as a business model, it's, you know, your level of wealth, passive income, business freedom, business success is really tied in to this theme of productivity. The faster you create your products, the more money you're going to make, the more successful you're going to be. So I would always prefer that you write from your heart, you let go of perfectionism, you get your content out there, and you just choose to be okay with some of the limits or some of the flaws that might reflect in your work. I know they're in mine. I have no doubt about it. But you know what? I've still created a lot of success through my books and coaching work and my practice. So the main thing that I'm looking for is that it does have some basic editing, but there's a genuineness that comes through your writing. The tone is powerful. The words capture a meaning that is inherent to who you are. And I'm speaking, this program is going to focus mostly like on the genre of nonfiction kind of self-help material. I think that's what most of you guys are looking to create. If you're looking for something different, you know, definitely let me know, and we might need to kind of tweak our relationship with this a little bit. But if that's your approach, like if you're looking to write about spirituality, health, wellness, stress management, parenting, relationships, anything in that genre of writing, then really what it boils down to is how eloquently and clearly you can speak from your heart, how genuine your information appears to be, rather than how perfect every word is, okay? So this is all going to become more clear throughout today's presentation, but I just want this mantra to be something that you start repeating to yourself on a regular basis. I choose productivity over perfectionism. You want to visualize the end result without getting attached to it. So one of the kind of inner exercises, some of the inner work I want everybody doing pretty much starting today, a 5 to 10 minute daily success ritual. And if you've done any previous coaching work with me, you know that I'm a huge fan of this, and I always talk about it. I always recommend it. 5 to 10 minutes a day where you remove all distraction, you're in total silence, you're either seated in a chair or on a meditation cushion or anywhere that's comfortable for you. You close your eyes, you follow your breath for just a few moments, just kind of getting anchored in yourself, and you spend some time with creative visualization, just, you know, seeing this finished book or ebook in your mind as if it's here with you already. Becoming more intimate with that visual over time, like planting that image in on deeper levels. And it's interesting because I actually started doing this without even knowing I was doing it when I was about 17 years old, 18 years old. I started to get these images in my mind of writing a book. And I could see it. I could see the book. I was just like, I know I need to write this book. And that book turned out to be the Purpose Principle. It took me about 15 years later to finally get it out to the world, because I did have a lot of those kind of perfectionistic inner critic blocks that I was talking about, and I would constantly procrastinate on it because it was uncomfortable going into it. But I finally got that book out there, and at the same time, the image of that book mentally was with me for the previous 15 years. So you want to start to see that and start to get intimate with that, start to own that, start to kind of anchor that in. Feel the emotion, the inspiration, the joy, the kind of freedom that your book generates in your life. Like, start to see all of that happen. So not only see the book happening, like as if it's here with you now, the final product, but also what the book does in your life. What sort of ripple effect does it create through your life in terms of the people who read it and whose lives are touched and impacted by it, to the level of money you're making for it, to how it benefits your business. You just start to kind of play with these images in your mind and emotionalize them, like start to anchor in some emotion around those images. And that's a really, really powerful practice, because the more intimate you get with it in your mind, the more inspired, the more motivated you're going to be to take those daily steps to bring it to fruition. Now, the key with this, though, is that you create those images, you feel the emotion around them, but then you make a conscious choice to let it all go. You basically say, okay, there it is, I see it, I feel it, and now I'm just going to let it go. Because what you don't want is to get attached to it, where you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do this now, and it's really, really urgent, and I feel like my energy kind of contracting around it, and it's stressful. Like you're getting really attached to the result of getting it out there. Feel the result, see it, and then let it go. And that's a constant practice, okay? So the more you let it go, while still holding like a clear emotional space around it, kind of working with those two kind of dynamics inside of yourself, that's what creates something really amazing, and you can do that fast. That's been my experience. If I get too attached to it, though, that clamps my energy, and I stop creating. If I stop seeing the end result, though, and I'm just kind of going through the motions and just kind of doing what I do without having that vision in mind, that also is temporary. It's more like willpower and a little bit of force in there. And what we're looking for is just a very natural level of motivation that is based on who you really are, that's ongoing. It's not some conditional, kind of impermanent thing. It's just something that's always there, because writing, creating books is just part of what you're here to do on this planet, right? So there's a daily relationship you have with that that is genuine, that is lasting, that is stable, that has a strong core and foundation to it, okay? That's what we're looking for here. So, I could talk so much more about this, and I'll probably start each webinar with just a hint of this, just giving you some refresher tips on the mindset component here, and even elaborating on these themes. And the main block that writers face is this perfectionistic kind of procrastinating tendency, where they're constantly kind of judging their work, and maybe they don't even know it, but that's there. And the whole thing is a lot more of a struggle than it really should be or needs to be. So we want you in that high frequency space when you're writing, and there's just a feeling of joy with it. Yes, it's a discipline to write, but it's also like a creative discipline. There's joy in it, and it's fun to you, okay? So let me know if you have any questions about that, but let's keep moving forward, okay? So the next thing that I want to talk about here is how you choose the best topic. And I know some of you already have the topic. You've already started writing for that topic. That's fantastic. Some of you have not, and that's great too. Either way, this should help you kind of refine your focus and get more clear on what it's going to take to make, create a book that has a successful outcome based on the topic, because the topic is extremely important, okay? So here's my take on this, and you will hear different opinions on this. Everybody has their own kind of slant on this, like how do you find the best topic and choose it. Based on who is in this program with me and what I think you guys are about, what your values are, I'm going to kind of come at it more from that angle, rather than just like the kind of generic answer about like, well, here's what's going to sell the most, or here's what's going to make the most money. We have to go a little deeper than that for a lot of us in this group. I have honestly done writing projects in the past, like quite a long time ago, where I did it more just to see if I could make money from it, like as an affiliate marketer, or just kind of selling it online, or whatever, throwing it up on a site like ClickBank or Amazon. And that can have some success, absolutely. Where we're going to find the most success, though, is getting into this sweet spot based on these criteria. So let's cover that right now. The number one criteria I have is that you're passionate and you care deeply about the subject matter. I encourage you to really only create content from that place. And I think that's probably pretty obvious why I say that, because your best writing is going to come from this place. Your readers are going to be impacted the most deeply when you're writing from this place. And most likely it's going to catch on. You're going to build word of mouth, and people are going to take notice of it when they can sense your passion, when they know that you care deeply about what you're writing about. That helps tremendously. It really does. So if you don't have a passion for making money on the internet or for real estate investing or for whatever, for sciatic pain or whatever it is, if that's not your thing, please don't write an ebook about it or a book thinking like, oh, I see that I could make money in this, or there's a niche that I can, a demand that I can fill here. I really wouldn't use that as your top criteria. Your top number one selective filter should be how passionate you are about the material that you want to write about. Number two is that it's a reflection of your current knowledge, skill, and experience, and also your business model. So many of you are in private practice, I know that, or you have a solo entrepreneur business. And really, this is one of the main points I want to make today is you want the goal for your book to be reflective of where you're at right now in your business or career. So if you're in a place right now where you're actively building a business, you're trying to get more clients or patients, customers in the door, I really wouldn't look at your book right now as a passive income model, as like, oh, I just want to do this to create passive income. What we really want to do is use your book as a marketing tool for your business. That should be your main goal. If, however, you're well established in your business, you're pretty much maxed out, you have a waiting list, or you're not that interested in seeing clients anymore, that is definitely where we want to get you more into the passive income model, okay? So I want you to base your goals around that. And this is just being realistic and smart as a business owner, that your book is definitely one of the most powerful marketing tools you have to build really any kind of service-based business. If you have a book or an ebook, you have a huge advantage in your marketplace versus other practitioners or coaches or entrepreneurs who don't. So you want to create content with that in mind. So if your ideal client is somebody who struggles with anxiety and depression, for instance, and you want to work with more of those people, I would write an ebook about anxiety and depression and how you treat it, and I would share case studies about that. I would get testimonials from clients about that. I would share stories and just, tips and philosophy that's just about that. That should be your first ebook or book, not something unrelated to that. So look at who your ideal client is right now, your ideal patient. What do they struggle with? What are they most challenged by? What sort of recurring theme do you see unfolding for the people you attract to your work? Is that, something that lifts you up, that you want more of? Has that been successful for you? And if so, your book should be a reflection of that, really. And that keeps it extremely simple for you. That takes all the guesswork out of it because nothing else really matters right now. You want to use that book as a front-end marketing/lead generation tool to get more clients. And yes, absolutely, as kind of a secondary benefit, you can make passive income from that book, for sure. But your first goal is to build your business using your book as a leading tool in your marketing, all right? And, I call this, just so you guys know, I call this the 3 phases of business growth. Phase 1 is the startup phase, and that's 0 to 2 years in, generally for most of us, where we're seeing anywhere from 0 to 20 clients per week, 0 to 15. And we're not quite profitable yet in our business. That is definitely a place where you want to book to start marketing your business. The second phase, phase 2, is the expansion phase, I call it, and that's where you're seeing 20 to potentially 100 or more clients or patients, customers per week in your business. And that's where, if you're starting to max out on the phase 2 model, that's where you can really start to look at your book as a passive income generator for you, okay? If you're at the early phases of the expansion phase, though, definitely write your book with the goal of filling your practice or your business. And then the third phase, phase 3, is what I call the freedom phase of business. And that's where pretty much your business does not depend on you to be there, so you're no longer trading time for money, and you have enough passive income coming in to support your lifestyle, to pay for all of your expenses, and essentially work, like active work in terms of working directly with clients, is pretty much optional at that point. So, you want to get clear right now. I would just write this down for yourself, like what your goal is based on where you're at in your business. So let me know if you have any questions about that, but that should take a lot of the guesswork out of like how you create the content, what's the best topic. You really want to base it on your current level of development as a business owner. The next criteria is that there is proven demand for the topic and people are looking for solutions. So I don't recommend that you go into a niche that is not proven to be a seller. You know, there's nobody buying in it yet, and you think like, oh, there's nothing that's been created here. I'm going to try this out and see how it goes. Usually when people do that, it fails because there's a reason why there are no products in that niche. So, you know, there are hundreds of thousands of potential niches you can go into on the internet and, of course, you know, in the world. I mean, there's so many things you could write about. Not all of them are going to make money. Not all of them are profitable. There isn't demand in a way that people would spend money on it for all of these topics. So I really think it's a safer bet to go into a niche that might be very competitive and difficult to break into, but the market demand is proven. People are spending money on that, and I'm going to give you some examples of this here, okay, in just a second. And here's a big one, too. You have a unique angle to take that is distinctly your own. So that's my kind of caveat to saying you should go into a market that is more proven yet competitive, is your level of success in a more competitive market will be determined by how unique the angle is that you take on your topic. So let's spend a little bit of time on that now. But like I said, this is a power-packed slide here. So if you have any questions about choosing your topic based on these criteria, let me know or other group members know, and I will do my best to help you out, all right? So the ideal is to go into a market where there is proven demand and then create a product with a unique or creative spin on it. And especially based on the ways that we are going to market your product, I'm going to focus mostly on blogging, social media, and pay-per-click advertising as the three kind of pillars to marketing your book. Using those methods, this is what works best, is you're not trying to reinvent the wheel by going into some really obscure niche that we have no idea if it's going to work. You're going to stick with some tried and true niches here, but you're doing it with a creative spin. You're not just creating some generic back pain product or weight loss or make money product. You're doing it with your own unique creative angle. And this is some of what we want to start brainstorming this week for you. And I'll give you a couple examples here of exactly how I do that in just 1 second. So all of these niches you see here are proven money makers, proven demand. You'll never go wrong in terms of, you know, questioning the demand on these. They work. I mean, weight loss, huge. It's probably the #1 industry on the internet in terms of, you know, income and money made for business owners, for authors. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of weight loss ebooks and books out there. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, if you go into that niche, it's extremely competitive. But if you have a unique angle to take that has never really been talked about before, you can do very, very well with that because it's still the case that about, you know, 60 to 70% of modern adults are looking to lose weight. I mean, I don't know if that's the exact statistic, but from my observations, that rings true pretty much. So with all of these, I mean, these are all essentially epidemics in our society, right? Like these are all some of the collective areas of struggle that modern people face. Depression, anxiety, life purpose, what do I do with my life or my career, managing or reducing stress, back pain or other kinds of pain, insomnia, food issues, infertility, finding the right relationship, how to get through a divorce effectively, making money or integrating money with work that you like doing is a huge topic. So all of those are very safe bets in terms of choosing the right topic. Very safe. And if you really just want to take kind of a tried and true model for creating a book or ebook, go with a condition or a challenge that people are proven to struggle with in massive numbers, and create a unique spin on it. Okay, that's going to be your best bet. Is solving problems for people. That's what people want to spend money on. So you can also definitely use your first book or ebook to talk about your modality. So if you're a chiropractor, an acupuncturist, a nutritionist, a coach, you can definitely write an ebook that talks about just what you do, how it works, what the philosophy is, you know, sharing case studies, things of that nature. If you choose that approach, That's definitely more for the phase 1, phase 2 model where you're looking to build your business. You want more chiropractic patients in the door, for instance, or coaching clients in the door. You're not really looking at that as like a New York Times bestseller or anything, or like this huge passive income generator. You're writing that book to educate your community about what you do to help them overcome their fear and their reluctance, their skepticism, and a book or an ebook is the best way to do that without question. So that's a great angle to take. And then the other one is meditation, yoga, or qigong. So I know a lot of you guys have like a spiritual or personal development background that you can draw heavily from. Meditation is an absolutely enormous industry on the internet, as is yoga. Qigong is something that we're starting to see develop a lot. I'm starting to see some products really go mainstream, and I'm sure they're selling very, very well in that niche, or Tai Chi. So, I mean, you have a lot of options here, and what you really want to do this week is, if you haven't chosen your topic yet, is just spend some time like reflecting on this. And, I really believe that there's a voice within us that just says yes to the right topic. So you trust that. Like when you scan through these different options in front of you, you just, something just clicks, and you're like, oh, there it is. That's what I need to write about. It's as clear as day to me, and it's just an intuitive hit you get on what sort of content would be the most helpful for your audience, for your community, okay? So there are many, many other niches that are proven to be very successful. I think for health practitioners or coaches, these are some of the ones that kind of stood out to me in the forefront of my mind that, are very safe bets. You really can't go wrong with them as long as you have a somewhat unique and creative spin to take on that niche, okay? So let's give you a quick example. Let's say weight loss. So how many weight loss products do you see out there, like books and ebooks, that are about like how to lose weight in 5 easy steps, right? I mean, there are like millions of these things out there, and they flood the market. And from the presentation, it's really hard to discern why that product is any different than the other million weight loss ebooks or books out there. So that's what we want to avoid. You don't want to just throw out another generic topic to the world, because it doesn't really do anything to stand out in that way. It's really difficult to garner attention and to get people to click the buy button if there's nothing differentiating about it. So I'm sure many of you have heard the term unique selling proposition in relation to being a business owner, or your USP. That's what makes your services unique to your community. And helps you stand out, right? Well, you definitely have a USP when you author a book, too. Every book you write should have its own unique selling proposition. And when you write a book generically like this, that's what it lacks. There's no USP, and therefore it's going to get buried under the weight of competition out there. So if we were going to do what I'm talking about, taking a unique angle on this is just something that I just thought of on the spot. How to lose weight without willpower by shifting your energetic frequency, heightening your awareness, and releasing emotional blocks. Now, that's a subject that you don't see written about very often. Most of the books out there on weight loss are about what foods to eat, kind of mechanical approaches to take. It's largely about diet, and it is largely about actually using willpower and disciplining yourself to abstain from foods that are bad for you, and to kind of force yourself to eat foods that are good for you. Well, what I've discovered in my own relationship with food, and I could definitely write an ebook about this, I just don't have time, is when I changed my energetic frequency and my emotional relationship with myself primarily, I naturally gravitated towards healthier foods. I actually found that things that used to taste good when I was holding on to more kind of trauma and blockage, like pizza and beer and sugar and, all that stuff, the stuff that I really used to enjoy, like now, I'm still good. I still like it, but it doesn't have nearly the same charge. And actually, sometimes those foods do taste bad to me. They just don't do anything for me a lot of the time, because I think when you're in a healthy state energetically and emotionally, the food that you eat is going to be reflective of that. You're going to choose higher vibrational foods that have a higher state of frequency and life to them than foods like processed foods or glutinous foods, things like that. So that is an ebook unto itself. I could easily spend the rest of today cranking out 20 to 30 pages just about that. And that would be my unique selling proposition for that product, right? And it would help me differentiate myself in a market that is just absolutely flooded with products. So we're not talking titles here yet. We're just talking subject matter, like topic ideas, right? So when we get into titles, maybe I'll take this exact example here, and I'll whip out a title for you guys that would really capture the USP of this particular product. Because in your titles, that's a lot of what you're looking to do. What's unique, and how does it arouse curiosity for the reader, right? Or another example, like let's say you were taking the modality idea here, and you're a chiropractor, and you would just, whatever your modality is, fill in the blanks here. Like a typical approach that you see a lot out there is, Chiropractic 101, the chiropractic primer. Here's an overview of chiropractic care and how it can help you. I mean, you see that a lot in different products out there on chiropractic care, right? I mean, at least I have. I mean, most of them come off in that way. And there are many, many books and ebooks now that have been written about something like chiropractic as a profession, as a modality, how it helps people. So it kind of elicits a little bit of a yawn from people at this point because there's just nothing new in that. Now, if this is just to get clients or patients in the door, this is still okay. I mean, you don't have to have anything like super out of the box or anything. It really depends on what your goal is. Just if you had an educational primer on behalf of your practice, that would be way better than not having it. So even if it was kind of generic, that still can be an awesome asset to your business. But if we were going to take the unique approach, a chiropractor's guide to health and life transformation, that kind of came to me as like a really kind of intriguing title. So it's kind of more from the first person, like sharing stories from the practice about like amazing healing experiences that patients have had, or about your own journey getting chiropractic care and how it led you to being a chiropractor, and weaving in some theoretical principles of chiropractic care into that. Or chiropractic unleashing the infinite power of your nervous system for lifelong health and balance. So in that example, I'm just coming up with a much more kind of, this is more like of a title idea here, but it's kind of using a more poetic, descriptive, and powerful way of describing what chiropractic does than a lot of what you're going to see out there. And so instead of just here's an overview, we're using really powerful words like unleashing and infinite and power, lifelong. So we're going to talk more about that in titles when we get there, about using power words in your titles, because that's a really smart idea. But I think you get what I mean by this. Hopefully you do. If not, let me know what your questions are. But yeah, these are two really, I think, clear examples of the difference between a generic topic and one that has some oomph behind it, some differentiation that will make people raise their eyebrow and say, oh, what's that about? That sounds really intriguing. So that's a lot of what we're trying to do here, is arouse curiosity in the way that we structure our content, okay? So that's my topic spiel. I'm trying to keep this extremely simple for you guys. So, I mean, there's a lot more I could say about that. It's just that we don't really need to go there yet. Our goal right now is just ease of use and getting you guys really clear on a very simple way to create your first topic, create your first book, and this, every step of this process, we want to keep it pretty streamlined, all right? So now what I'd like to do is talk about content creation, because what I want to do is see everybody in this program writing, starting today or, at the latest, or tomorrow, 20 minutes a day, minimally. And everybody's going to do this a little differently. Like for me, I've had both the experience of taking 3+ years to write a book and writing an entire ebook in an afternoon. And from the moment of getting an idea for an ebook to 6 days later getting it up on Amazon Kindle, and it's published and it's made its first sale. So I've done both ends of the spectrum, and everybody's going to kind of relate to that in a little different way in terms of your efficiency and just how quickly you want to create content. Some of you, your personality is going to be that you do just want to just unleash it and get it out there on paper as quickly as you can, and you just want to roll with this. And for others, you want to take a little bit more of a methodical approach, like just 20 minutes a day, writing, 800 to 1,000 words every day, and at the end of that, over a couple months, you're going to have a nice kind of polished product there. So this is kind of just about knowing yourself how you click, how you tick, and what your personality is. So there's no right or wrong there. It's just a matter of what's going to work the best for you, okay? So here's a really, really important tip for today. If you're a first-time author, which most of you are, I highly recommend creating a short ebook before writing a regular-sized published book. And for many of the people in this program, that's going to be my recommendation for you, is to use our 90 days together to get your first short ebook out into the world rather than a 250-page published book. And there are many, many reasons why I say that. The first thing is that it's less daunting and much more actionable. So it's a heck of a lot easier to create a 30-page ebook than a 250-page published book. There's just no way around that. And as a first-time author, I highly recommend just taking the approach that is as workable for you, given your time constraints and your lifestyle, as you possibly can. So you don't want to make this just some enormous task or burden for yourself that kind of compromises your quality of life. You want to fit this in where you can, and for a lot of you guys, this is going to be what works the best. It's just a shorter ebook to get this process started. The cool thing about writing a short ebook is that it actually has the same potential benefit for your business or career. So when people see your name on a cover as an author of an ebook as compared to a book, it's really the same psychological perception that they're creating of you, that you're an expert. It's like, wow, they have an ebook. That's really cool. They don't know, maybe they don't know anybody else who has an ebook, and you do. That's a huge differentiating factor as a business owner, as a practitioner, right? As a coach, whatever you are. So the benefits are there either way. So whether you write a 30-page ebook or a 250-page book, they're both really beneficial for your business or your career. And you really want to look at it like that. Like, can I take a simpler approach that's a lot easier, a lot more actionable, that still has the same potential reward? Now, what writing a short ebook does is it builds confidence and it creates positive momentum. And this is really, really important. The hardest thing by far for all authors is getting their first ebook or book out there. After that, like for me personally, the process was 90% easier the second time I did this. 90%, easily 90%. So I wrote my first 100-page ebook in about 2 years, and it was honestly quite painful because I didn't know any of the stuff that I'm teaching you guys, and I just totally just guessed. It was like just winging it 101. So it took me a long time. I second-guessed myself a lot. And, it worked out really well. I mean, I did fairly well from that ebook. I really did, but it took way too long to write. I wrote my second 100-page ebook in about 7 days, literally. And so from the time I got the idea for the ebook to the time it was up there on my website to purchase, maybe about 3 to 4 weeks, as opposed to 2+ years. So what I'm trying to do here is really shortcut your path to product creation. Because if you can just get that first one out there, I guarantee you your confidence skyrockets and you just get it. There's like a blueprint that's established inside of you about how to do this. And you're like, oh, wow, this is actually pretty easy. It's really not nearly as hard as most people make it out to be. So that comes through getting your first one out there and through making your first sale. Because when you get that first sale coming in, whether it's on your website, on Amazon Kindle, whatever platform you're using, I guarantee you something will click in your brain and you're going to be like, ooh, I like that. I want more of that. Like, I remember that distinctly for me. After 2+ years of working on my first ebook, I got it up on my website, and I think like the next day I made my first like $40 sale on that ebook. Something just clicked in my brain, and I was like, ooh, I think I found something here. I like that a lot. And I was hanging out like with my friends, like playing cards. I remember that. Like, we were just hanging out outside and just kind of having a nice afternoon. And then I got this sale notice coming in on my phone, and I was like, ooh, wow, I just made $40 sitting here playing cards and, chilling with my friends. What could be cooler than that? So that really sparked something in me. And it was confidence, but it was also just like huge motivation. I was like, ooh, I see the potential of this now, So for me, that first ebook that I wrote went on to sell over $40,000 of just totally passive income. And from there, I just was like, I have to do more of this. This is awesome. I mean, there's not much better out there in the world in business than like, sleeping, hanging out with your friends, playing with your kids, and your phone rings and you get a notice that you just made an ebook sale. I mean, it's a really cool feeling. And yes, of course, if you're publishing a book, it's the same idea. I just think getting your ebook out there is a heck of a lot easier, and it has a lot of these same benefits in terms of financial gain and business success. Okay. Ebooks are easy, and I should have said cheap, to create, format, and publish. So when we get into the formatting and creation process or design process here, I'm going to show you ways to get your first ebook done for less than 30 bucks. It's super cheap. I mean, it really does not have to be this really risky, expensive process. I mean, it can be really, really cheap just depending on your budget. So keep that in mind. You don't need to hire some high-end graphic designer or book formatter that you pay a couple $1,000s to. I mean, you can do this for dirt cheap. And honestly, a lot of the time it works just as well. It's crazy, I know, but it's true. The other thing that I wanted to say here that I didn't is the financial component. So ebooks, if you are looking to create passive income streams, ebooks actually work better than published books. If you're self-publishing a book, ebooks oftentimes are more lucrative because you can charge more for them. And this depends on what sort of platform you're using. We'll get into pricing strategies probably on the next webinar or the one right after that. But like I said, my first ebook I sold for 40 bucks. And ebooks a lot of the time just have a higher perceived value than a published book. So, you can't really publish like a regular book that you would sell at Barnes & Noble for 40 bucks unless it's like an encyclopedia or something that's really expensive, hardback. But an ebook, you can whip that thing out more quickly, charge more premium price, and if you're looking for passive income streams, it's actually sometimes more advantageous to just have it in digital format. The other thing that I should have said here is the delivery method is automated. So you should have it set up where it's entirely automated to deliver the product to the buyer. So when they purchase your ebook, you have it's either done through Amazon Kindle or another publishing platform, or if it's on your website, you have an online shopping cart that does the entire thing for you. So it's not like you're manually sitting there behind your computer, emailing that person with a link to download the product. All of that should be automated and totally hands-off for you. So it's really one of the most genuine, legitimate forms of passive income at your disposal. There aren't many things that are more passive money-wise than selling ebooks online. It's extremely passive, and that's a beautiful thing when you're looking to create more freedom in your business and in your lifestyle. So that's my spiel about ebooks. I think for new authors, that's what I'm going to recommend that you do. I'm in no way set in stone on that. So if you're like, nope, I definitely want to get my published book out there, let's do that. I'm excited about that for you, and I'm going to help you every step of the way. I know for a lot of you guys, that's really what you want. You want your first real book out there. Just take to mind what I've said here, though, that if all of this is new to you, it might be a heck of a lot more successful right now to just get out that short ebook, get your feet wet, get some success, some confidence built, and then from there, your second project is your full-length published book. And that might come more like 6 to 12 months down the road as opposed to like 2 to 3 months down the road. So just something to think about. This week, I just want you thinking about this, kind of creating a clear goal for yourself, an agenda in terms of what you're going to create, given my feedback here, all right? Let me know if you have questions about that. So our goal really in this program is to get you to that first sale as quickly as possible. That's mostly what I care about, is getting you to that first sale as quickly as you can. I'm very confident that the people in this group are bright, sincere, and they are going to put out the best quality content that they can. The thing that is going to block most of you guys is being too attached to that end of the spectrum, though, and you're like so concerned about what your audience is going to think that you procrastinate, or you take maybe a little too long to get this going. You want to think in the back of your mind, okay, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a marketer, I want to sell my book. I want to get it out there, and I want to get that first sale like now. So think like an entrepreneur, not just an author. This is another basic mindset tip for you. Is you're wearing dual hats here of being a writer and a marketer always when you're working with your books, especially if you want passive income. You always want to be wearing that entrepreneurial hat of like, okay, yes, I want a great product that I'm selling here, but I also want to get it out quickly. I want to see that first sale come in, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, not like 2 years from now or 10 years from now, right? Now, it's been proven, they've been studies that most people actually do want to write a book. Over 200 million Americans currently say they want to write a book, but very, very few of them ever actually do it. So we need to be sensitive to this. It's like everybody kind of talks the talk, but very few walk the walk. So there is a barrier to entry here that most people never cross. So what I'm trying to do is expose what that barrier is for you so you can easily overcome it and realize it's really not that big of a deal. It really isn't. It's more of a kind of unconscious belief that writing a book, it has to be this inherently difficult, arduous, lifetime process. It really shouldn't be that. If you're a business owner, it should be pretty fast. Speed is your best friend in business. Speed is what determines your level of wealth. How quickly you can go from idea to physical reality is really what determines your success in business. So what you want to do is essentially assess how much clutter is there in your mind between your ideas and physical reality for bringing your ideas to fruition, right? Our work together is to remove that excessive clutter that hits the pause button on the idea going into reality. So there's nothing more kind of clear in this way than writing books, because books are all about ideas, multiple ideas, of course, and the faster you get those ideas out to the world, the more successful you're going to be, the more money you're going to make, all the benefits that come from it, right? So we want to focus on speed as much as we focus on quality. Both are really important. The faster you move on your ideas, the more success you'll have. And you'll never, I promise you this, you'll never walk away from your book or ebook feeling like it was 100% perfect. It's kind of like a marriage or like a relationship. It's like, you're with this significant other that you're kind of putting all this energy into. You want it to be a certain way. You're constantly trying to change it. You oftentimes wish it was better than it was. And at some point, you just have to basically like deeply accept what is and know that you're doing your best. And that, the goal is just to get it out there and then refine, keep working on the practice of writing over time. And this is especially true for your first ebook or book, right? So I'm going to keep hitting that theme because this is what I see blocks so many of us from taking that first step of getting our work out to the world, is that perfectionistic tendency. So I've never created a book or ebook or a blog post or pretty much anything where I've just been like, man, this entire thing word for word is maybe 100% perfect. Maybe a few times I have with blog posts, but pretty rare. I mean, there's always something that I can improve on, absolutely, whether it's a grammatical issue, just expressing ideas more clearly, going a little more deeper into my thought process. There's always a way to make it better, but this is the balancing act as a business owner, time versus production, right? And you want to be a producer because your ideas, I promise you, will be helpful to a lay population. Always keep in mind that if you're an expert in something, you know more about that topic than 99% of your audience will ever know about it. So what's elementary to you can be mind-blowing to your audience. And you always want to step out of your own shoes as the expert and say, oh, well, does the average layperson know anything about what I'm writing about here, really, like in depth? Not really. Therefore, it's okay if your material is simple, practical, and actionable, and it doesn't take a long time to create the content, okay? All right, so I hope that's all helpful. Let's now shift gears a little bit and talk about the fastest ways to create your content. So like I said, I want to see everybody writing today or tomorrow, let's just jump right in here. So I'm going to cover what I've discovered to be, for myself, the fastest ways to produce content. And like I said, I've been a pretty prolific content creator I have several ebooks. I have a published book. I have, pretty active blogs, definitely social media pages that I'm constantly updating. So if I didn't create content efficiently, it would be a huge hang up in my business. It would definitely be undermining my success. And I know for a lot of you guys, that's kind of the main issue is you feel like it takes way too long to get your work out there, your ideas out on the paper. So here we go, okay? This is one of the most important points of this program is training yourself to create content quickly. Quick water break, and let's jump in. All right, so my first tip for you is free association writing. This is where you get on your computer, you remove all distractions, you turn off your phone, close out all the other tabs. You have a notepad on your computer in front of you or Word document. You set a timer on your phone or on your alarm, your watch, whatever, for 20 minutes. And the goal, the practice, is that for 20 minutes, you do not stop writing. Like when you say go, your fingers are moving on that keyboard until that dinger rings and 20 minutes have passed. So there are no breaks. You can't think about it. You can't judge it. You can't step back and edit it. You can't try to like organize it or do anything like that or refine it. It's just about getting your ideas onto paper. That's it. For me, this is one of the most powerful practices that I have at my disposal as a writer. And if most of my blog posts, this is how I create them. So I can write, I'm up to like close to like easily 2,000 words in a 20-minute period if I just write and I don't stop, because I can type super fast now. So I don't expect everybody to be up to that level, but you might be shocked at how much content you can produce in 20 minutes if you just don't stop writing. One of my coaching clients in my last program, Deliberate Wealth Design, where we were talking quite a bit about writing, he said he was normally stuck in analysis paralysis, and it was a real pain to write even 500 words. And he did this free association exercise, and he wrote over 900 words in 20 minutes, and he was blown away. So, this is accessible to all of us. Just don't stop. Even if you're typing gibberish at first or nonsense, it's just, there's nothing that's really useful coming out. The key is just keep doing it. You keep doing it. You keep practicing it. And what this does is it taps you into a very natural voice that you have that you may never have known was there or has just been underdeveloped. That's what you're looking for. And even when I teach these webinars, this is essentially what I'm doing right now is free association speaking, because I've like developed that skill so sufficiently at this point that I can just talk, I can just speak, I can just write without really having to judge it or think about it much. So it's literally like a muscle that you develop. It's a skill, it's an attribute that you cultivate over time. So this is a fantastic exercise for everybody in this program starting now. Just like 20 minutes a day, free association writing. You have the topic you want to focus on. Maybe it's a chapter in your book, maybe it's a blog post, and you just let it rip. You don't allow yourself to critique or edit any of it, okay? So once that bell dings, the 20 minutes is up, of course at that point you are more than welcome to go back and refine your content, edit it, make it better, make it stronger. The biggest mistake people make in writing is they try to correct their writing as they're in the creative flow of writing. You do not want to be the corrector or the editor of your writing while you're in the creative mode. There are two different hats to wear, if that makes sense. There's the creator and the editor. You can't wear both. What that does is it stunts your process. It stunts the efficiency, and it never allows you to just get into the zone with your writing. You want that high frequency space where, yeah, you're just plugged in. There's a zone there that you enter, and you just let it go. It's coming from your heart, and it feels like it's just as natural as can be. So let me know if you have questions about this. This is really how I want most of us writing our content for our books and ebooks, especially our first one. I'm not going to encourage you to write some like academic dissertation on your work or anything like highly complex or theoretical. What I do recommend is that you keep your work very practical and very simple, and you write from your heart. that's actually what sells better on the internet, especially. That's what people mostly consume, is that kind of information. And I'll get more into that in just a minute here. All right, so my second tip for you is the interview format. And this works really, really well too. And it's actually another pretty shocking kind of way to whip out content almost in spite of yourself, where you're just like, how did that even happen? I just rolled out 40 pages of content and I didn't even know it. I mean, that's what you want. I mean, where it's just like you almost get yourself out of the way and the information just comes out. So the way that this works is you would partner up with one other person in our group, and maybe it's a mastermind partner or somebody else. Just, you can post within our Facebook group just saying, hey, I'm looking to do this interview format. I feel like that's going to work best for me. And you'd find somebody else that wants to team up with you where you would both interview each other. And what you would do is you have the book idea, the topic at hand that you want to write about. You have an outline in place that you want to structure your content around. And then what you would do is you would create a series of questions, provocative, open-ended questions that are reflective of your outline that you would give to your interviewer, okay? So it's a very strategic method here where your interviewer is basically going to ask you these questions to pull out this information. So what you would do is you would get on a conference line and you would record that interview, okay? So each of you would, maybe you just schedule separate days for each of you to interview each other, and each interview should take about 30 to 50 minutes, I would think. And out of that, you can oftentimes get 30 to 50 pages of content. It's like a minute per page. It's pretty easy to accomplish, given how fast most of us talk. So, like if I was going to turn what I've already done on this webinar into a little ebook, I would already have, just from what I've shared with you guys here, if I got this transcribed, I would already have a pretty solid 20 to 30 page ebook on my hands just from having this transcribed, putting in a few images, getting it formatted so it's spaced out nicely. It's pretty astonishing how much content you can create from the spoken word. So what you would do is you'd record this using a free conference call service, and then you would send the MP3 link of your recording to a transcriptionist. And I'm going to walk you through all of this starting over the next couple weeks. So I'm going to give you links to people you can use to get your work transcribed, links to the recordings that, the conference lines you can use, all of that stuff. So don't worry about any of that. You'll get all of those resources. And then, so then you'd have it transcribed, and then you might want to do some basic editing on it before you would throw it up live as an ebook or a book or whatever, or you can outsource the editing too for pretty cheap on a couple of sites I'm going to give you as well, okay? So that works really well for a lot of us because like I said, it kind of gets us out of our own way, and if somebody's just interviewing us and pulling content out of us, that might be a lot more fluid way to produce the content that you need, okay? And in this format, you can either leave the interview exactly as it is for your ebook, so the ebook is the interview, or you can remove the questions and structure the answers to those questions as your ebook. So then it's just a matter of, making it look like a regular kind of presentation of content rather than interview content. So both work. I've seen both done a lot, and there's no real right or wrong. It just depends on what you feel best about, okay? So that works really well. My next way that is the best way to create your content is speaking instead of writing. So in this example, or in this approach, for a lot of us, we feel like we're actually much better speakers than we are writers. Like for a lot of us, when we get in front of that computer and we're sitting in front of the keyboard, we just freeze up. And the free association writing is definitely helpful for that. But still, we might notice that we just have a natural inclination to speak rather than write. And also, when you speak, you're basically creating content about 5 to 10 times as fast as when you would write it. So it's a much more efficient, speedy way of getting your work out there. So what you would do in this example, it's kind of similar to the interview example, but really it's more about just you doing this on a solo mission, essentially. So I've done this a lot, and what I do is I visualize myself up in front of a room like I'm teaching a seminar or leading a webinar like this, and I capture my voice on a phone recording, and so it's all being recorded, and I have my outline in front of me, like a PowerPoint presentation like this, or just a basic outline in a Word document, and I might do one dress rehearsal where I'll spend like 20-30 minutes not recording it and just speaking, and just seeing how fluidly the information comes out. And I might need to work on it a little bit, or make sure I refine my ideas enough, that I have it enough organized in my brain enough to just be able to rattle it off like that. But for a lot of us, it's kind of surprising how well we do with this. Like if we have a good outline in front of us, and there's an organized structure we can follow, we tend to know so much about what our topic is at hand. Especially if you've had a practice or a business that centers around that, where it's just second nature to speak on behalf of that. Like it doesn't really require much effort at all, because you know your topic just so well. It's like just like breathing, right? It's just second nature. So I mean, that's kind of the place I'm at with it, because I've done it so much and it's a skill that I've developed. This might be something that's just a practice for you. It might take some patience. It's a muscle that you develop over time, but it's an extremely powerful exercise, because the better you get at speaking, what that means is you're going to become more of a master communicator in your business, and communication is always one of the most essential skills for success in working with people, getting referrals, retaining them effectively. The better of a speaker you are and the more you practice it, it will enhance every single aspect of your work without question. It's pretty interesting. So I'll post some links of different resources you can use to do this. There are software programs like Dragon Naturally Speaking, where you can capture your voice and it'll transcribe it on the spot for you. That works. It's just a little spotty. I use that to write some of my book, The Purpose Principle, and I found that I still had to speak kind of slow for it to dictate effectively, and there was a lot of cleanup to do with it. So I prefer to just speak it all quickly, hand it over to a transcriptionist, pay a little bit of money to have the whole thing transcribed, and maybe that person or another person could do some basic copy editing for you, and boom, they give you back a final document that is ready to roll and throw up on the internet or get out there for your first book. So this works very, very well, and it's, like I said, 5 to 10 times faster than sitting in front of your computer writing. So what I would do is experiment with all three of these models and feel this out. I mean, everybody's a little different here. So for some of you, this free association method is going to work best. For some of you, the interview format and teaming up with somebody else. And for some of you, doing it as a solo mission, just calling into your telephone, getting it recorded, and then having it transcribed from there is going to work best. And for some of you, you do great with all three of them. So you're just looking for that one that speaks to you the most and that feels like it's the fastest, easiest way for you to produce your content, okay? All right, so let me know if you have any questions about that. But these are some really, I think, helpful tips that I've gone through the whole gamut of trying different things to speed up the writing, and these are the three that I think work the very best. I use these a lot, and like I said, it's pretty astonishing how much content you create when you get yourself out of the way and you just either start typing and it goes, or you start speaking and then you get it transcribed. It's awesome. And that's where you see a lot of these really prolific writers out there that are just cranking out books, like one book a month. They're usually using one of these three strategies, or they have a huge team of writers that are kind of doing the writing for them. That happens too, but we're not going to go there today. All right, so let me see here. It is 1:34, so we're getting closer to the end here. And like I said, guys, hang in there with me. If you need to take a quick stretch, take a deep breath, get some water, that's all good. I just have a couple more slides to get through today, and I want to make sure I'm giving you as much as I can for the next couple of weeks to start taking some action, all right? So structuring and organizing your content. Simplicity is the highest virtue in writing a book. Now, if you look at authors like Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, really prolific writers, it's pretty amazing to me how simple their content is. Not only like the nature of what they're saying a lot of the time, but how it's structured. Like, it's just a very simple format. The chapters are broken down in a very clear and simple way. So we want to make it as simple as we can for you. And so what I'd recommend, especially if you're writing like taking the 30-page ebook as your starting point, very simple. You have an introduction, you have 3 to 10 chapters as your main body, and then you have a conclusion. And that's honestly really it. It's very, very simple. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time on each of these, highlighting the main points you want to have for each, because they're each very important. So let's talk about some tips for having a strong introduction. And let me just say this first. Your introduction is extremely important because it's really that all-important first impression where somebody purchases your ebook or they flip open the cover of your book and they're reading that first page and they're taking in for the first time what you have to say. And it's very much like, going out on a date for the first time where you're forming all these initial judgments about, like, is this going to work? Do I want to commit to this? Do I feel like there's some potential in this? Is there value in this for me, right? So you want to almost like seduce the reader in that introduction and get them compelled to stick around, to turn that next page. So there are a few main ways, like kind of psychological tactics we use in our introduction to do that, okay? The first goal is to establish an emotional connection with the reader, and this is done by empathizing with their pain or their challenges and reassuring them that your book has the solutions that they have been looking for. This is especially true, of course, if you're writing in the self-help genre of books, that if somebody is coming to you for help with anxiety, for instance, you definitely want to go out of your way to express empathy for where they're at, that, definitely really sorry you're challenged with this. You've probably tried a lot of other things and you're still kind of scratching your head. I know how debilitating anxiety can be. That kind of tone where it's very personal. You might even want to share a little bit of your own story in overcoming anxiety if that's been an issue for you, or share a story from your practice or your business about working with clients who have struggled with it. Get them connected on a personal level and assure them that you understand where they're coming from. The second goal is to get them inspired to take your book seriously, to make it a top priority, to read it, and to remove distractions. And you do that pretty much just by stating this in the introduction. You're here for a reason. You've chosen to invest in this book because you're really ready to change this pattern. And it's in no way random that you have chosen this book. What you're about to read is, really the culmination of my life's work in helping many, many people with this issue. And I'm sure it's going to help you too. So, you just want to formally kind of announce that to them and kind of proclaim the importance of what they're about to access in your content, okay? The third goal is to provide social proof to establish trust. So especially with like self-help books, the average reader is going to come into that with some level of fear and or skepticism because they're taking a little bit of a risk by spending money on the product. They don't really know you yet a lot of the time. They just kind of trust that maybe this is a good decision, but they don't really know yet. So the more you can do to alleviate that in your introduction is very, very helpful. So, sharing a couple of quick testimonials or case studies that kind of solidify the merit of your work and really reinforce goal number 2, which is to get them inspired to take this seriously. So do what you can to show the reader that others have benefited from your approach, that they like what you have to say, and that will help them to stick with your content for sure. And the fourth goal is to reinforce what they're about to learn, give them an overview of the content, so kind of break down what the following chapters are about, just so they can kind of digest that in their mind and kind of understand where you're coming from and what they're about to get into here. So give them some organization. Okay, and then the content of the main body. Now, when you're creating your content, starting where you are now, like if you're brand new and you're just looking to go from kind of nothing to getting your first book out there right now, you haven't started on this yet, I would actually recommend starting with the main body content before worrying about the introduction and conclusion. I would write those last. Just get your main content done, and then a lot of the times the introduction kind of naturally develops from creating that main body content, okay? So if you're writing an ebook, you want to keep the content very simple, actionable, and directly relevant to solving the reader's pain. I recommend staying away from theoretical writing, academic writing, abstract writing, if you're selling your book online, because it's proven on the internet, people buy for practical reasons. They're willing to consume content and information because they have a pain, a problem, a challenge that they want help with. So you want to structure your content accordingly. Like, don't go into a lot of the philosophy behind acupuncture or chiropractic care. Instead, give them really helpful tips that they can use at home that will immediately benefit their issues, right? The cool thing about that, for most of us, it's a lot easier kind of creating that kind of content than academic content. So that's why I say this can be very second nature to you. It doesn't have to be really difficult. Creating this kind of content should be a lot more simple for you than going into like a whole dissertation about your services and how they work, for instance. Writing from the heart will always sell better than academic writing for the lay population. So the more of an emotional connection you make with that reader, the more you empathize, the more they can feel your sincerity and your passion coming through. That's what's going to glue them to your work, tell others about your book, rave about it, buy other products that you come out with in the future, want to work with you in your business possibly. So yeah, that's what we want, is kind of an undistracted, uncluttered connection you have with your own heart, and your voice comes from that place and people feel it. It's palpable. So that's a much more effective form of writing for self-help or for health, wellness, things of this nature, I think, than more theoretical or academic writing for most people, for the lay population in general, okay? Consider using the 3 ways model. This makes content creation super easy, really, really easy. And I love this model because it really breaks it down into very bite-sized, manageable chunks. So for instance, the structure of your ebook could be, or your book could be something like 3 all-natural ways to heal back pain forever, something like that, right? So that's the 3 ways model, where you're basically dissecting 3 different approaches they can use. So first you're going to go into, like in that example, exercise, physiotherapy, whatever, you know, different yoga postures they can use. The second one might be nutrition or stress management, and the third would be maybe your modality. So if you're a chiropractor, you would talk all about chiropractic care and how it heals back pain, right? So that's, you know, sometimes for a lot of us, that's a lot easier to create that kind of content than going really, really deep into just one model, into one way. So it's, you know, like for me, I can easily kind of skim the surface on 3 topics related to anything versus like going really deep into just one of them. So that model works really well. You're going to see that all the time, and it doesn't have to be 3 ways. It can be 7 ways. It can be 9 ways. What we see is an odd number tends to resonate better for people for whatever reason. So I would just kind of stick with that. 3, 5, 7, 9. Keep it at probably 9 at the most. And you know, if you have 9 ways of doing something, you might only need 2 or 3 pages on each way to give them just enough practical information, and that might be a much easier way to create your content than only having 1 way and you have to write 25 pages, 100 pages, whatever it is on that. That can be a lot more challenging. And then back up your claims and insights with case studies and stories. So stories woven into your claims is an extremely effective way to write. And you're going to see this, once again, all of the time with prolific, successful authors out there, like Wayne Dyer, like Jack Canfield. You know, they're always weaving stories into their books to basically reinforce and emotionalize the points they're trying to make to us as the reader, okay? So you definitely want to, you know, if you've had a practice or a business working with clients over a period of time, maybe pull a few case studies or a few files of clients that you know did really, really well with your work, and they had a really positive breakthrough. Give them a fictitious name so they remain confidential, and then write a case study about their experience going through care with you at the appropriate time when you're talking about, you know, a specific claim or a tip or an insight, okay? People love that, and it enhances the quality and the connection people make with your book a hundredfold to have case studies and stories that you weave in all of the time. And it's a totally easy way to create the content. Really, really easy to share stories, okay? All right, and then let's talk just briefly about the conclusion of your book and the main things that you want to add there. You want to reinforce and summarize what they just learned, why it works, and why it's so important. Extend appreciation to the reader that they have devoted a portion of their life to your book. So I always like to do that, kind of go out of your way to thank them that they've invested time, energy, money into your product, and just thank them, that they've done that they've devoted themselves to what you have to say, and, kind of shower accolades upon them that they've also devoted this for themselves, that they've cared enough about themselves to really consider different solutions. Express urgency that they take action fast on what they just learned. So if your book is a how-to book or more of a self-help approach, and there are a lot of action steps that the reader can take, really make a point of expressing urgency that they don't just put this book down and go on with their life, but they really reinforce the implementation on a daily basis. Like, take action on what you just learned, right? And then at the end of your book, at the very end, after the conclusion, provide a call to action to visit your website or blog, to like your fan page on Facebook, or to schedule a consult with you. Whatever that next step is in the process of connecting with you, of working with you, make sure you have a call to action with a link to your website or blog, and where they can connect with you on social media, okay? So that's a huge one, really, really important, because for just about any of us, we want to use our book as a tool to get people over to our website and get them connected with us in different ways, so they can potentially work with us, invest in what we have to offer down the road, but we have to get them connected with us first, right? And that's where your website and your fan page should come in really handy. Okay, so those are some of the main points that I have to make today about content creation, and just some of the main tips for your intro, your body, and your conclusion. Trying to keep this really streamlined and simple for you guys so you can start moving fast. Let's talk a little bit about some homework for today. Introduce yourself in our Facebook group and get to know the other group members. Already mentioned that. Start doing some free association writing, minimally 20 minutes per day. Set a clear goal for the type of product, book or ebook, and length that you want to have completed in the next 90 days based on what's realistic for you and your schedule, time constraints, family obligations, work. What's realistic for you? I mean, be real with yourself here. Does it feel, if you check in with yourself, does it feel more inspiring and workable to create that 30-page ebook than it does to create a 250-page book? Either one I'm going to support you on, and there are definitely going to be a few of you that can crank out that book. I know it. Full-length book, that's awesome, but just check in with yourself. Know yourself enough to be realistic about this and to do what's going to be the most successful outcome for you. Break off into small mastermind and interview groups to start creating content and leveraging the support of other group members, okay? So especially do this if you want to use that interview format where you want to partner up with somebody. But in general, I think it's a great idea to connect with others in the group. I'm going to post a Facebook thread in our group to get these masterminds started. So don't be bashful. Reach out to others. And in the previous groups that I've been doing recently, this has been really beneficial and I think a huge asset to the work that we're all doing together. And, I definitely would love to see a lot of these masterminds just going on indefinitely, not even just for 3 months, but I want you guys to make strong, lifelong connections with a few of the people here because there are some awesome people in our group, and I think we would all benefit. So keep that in mind. And set a specific date that your rough draft will be ready by. So based on the length that you're looking to create, obviously a 30-page ebook is going to be a lot different than a 250-page book. If it was me, realistically, you can definitely have a 30-page ebook ready in 60 days. So if that feels workable for you, that would be my goal for you, is 2 months from today. Set a deadline in your calendar that you will have your rough draft ready. And that's, you know, that's pretty conservative because you can actually whip it out a lot faster than that if you are ready to go there. But I'd love to see you kind of minimally getting that first, that rough draft really finalized by then, where you're ready to get the cover created, you're ready to get it designed, and, you know, you're getting super close to polishing that baby up and getting your first sale on it, okay? I think that'll keep us plenty busy, don't you? So let's focus on this, and I think we'll wrap it up for today. Let me just check in with everybody, see if there are still people hanging out with me here. Awesome. So we still have a nice large group of you, so thank you so much for spending almost 2 hours with me on this. I hope it was helpful. Can I just get a show of hands? You should see a little hand icon on your webinar kind of control panel area there. If you can click your hand icon if this was a good start for you, if you like where this is going, if you got a lot of good tips from today, you feel motivated, you're inspired, you're ready to take some action. Awesome, you guys. Yeah, we're seeing most of the hands going up, which is fantastic. Very cool. Perfect. Well, let's leave it at that. And I'm going to be here in the Facebook group for the next couple of weeks, just checking in with you guys, keeping you accountable, getting things moving forward. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll get this webinar recording up there shortly as well, and we'll keep moving forward, guys. And I look forward to connecting with all of you in our group, and we'll just keep it going. So thanks again for joining me, and can't wait to see what you guys create. I'm super excited for all of you, and can't wait to support you on this. So that is it for today, and we'll pick it up again in our next webinar in 2 weeks exactly. Be well, guys. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you soon. All the best. Take care. Bye-bye.